Okay, good morning. Am I audible online? Okay, thank you. So, today we are going to cover Durkheim, right? See, basically, when it comes to Durkheim's questions, you need to understand that, like how we try to understand Marx, we need to first understand what was the idea behind Durkheim's theories. Okay, what is the major or the core principle or the core theory or concept behind Durkheim's theories? See, when it comes to Marx, he focused on social change, right? So his main focus was social change. As a result, entire theories of Marx was discussing about social change, whether it is economic determinism, whether it was related to dialectical materialism, historical materialism, or even alienation was also related to that of social change, as well as the exploitation within the capitalist system. So that were the major themes behind Marxian theory. Now, when it comes to that of Durkheim, what was his main idea or what was his main aim when it comes to sociological theories? Stability in society. Okay, that is one important theme when it comes to that of Durkheim studies. That is correct. So, one is stability. Other than that, any other point that you can think of? Durkheim's major theme behind his studies. Social aura. Order, okay. Social order, social stability. Now, those are his concepts, but I'm asking about the major theme. Like, see, whenever you are studying a thinker, you first need to understand what that thinker actually wants to establish through his concepts or theories. So, one is stability and order. That is correct. Then,
social reality to understand.
now, what is his aim of create? Yeah, correct. Scientific, right? See, when it comes to that of Durkheim, one of the major theme that you can see in his studies is he wanted to create sociology as a scientific discipline. So, if you understand that Durkheim was focusing on these two major themes in most of his studies, you will be able to connect his theories really well. You will be able to understand. You see, it is all about connecting the dots, right? If you can understand or if you can get the holistic picture of what his theories are, then it will be easier for you to actually remember them as well as for you to reproduce those theories in your paper. Is it clear? So the major theme when it comes to Durkheim's theories are: one is stability and social order, second is he wanted to create sociology as a scientific discipline. Is it clear? Okay. So now based on that, we can classify Durkheim's theories into: one is he wanted to explain what is society or what is the nature of society. Similar to how we try to understand the Marxian theory, here again you need to understand first is what is the nature of society. Second, when it comes to Durkheim's theories, you can see that he wanted to create a methodology to study society. Third is he also discussed about social order and how it changes. Apart from that, there are two different theories. One is his theory of religion and his theory on suicide. This is all about Durkheim's theories. Now again, as we have done in the case of Karl Marx, you can also establish a proper connection when it comes to Durkheim's theories as well. Okay, see, all are interrelated, the concepts are interrelated. When we start with the social facts and when we end with that of the religion, you can see that there is a kind of connection between all the concepts. And if you get that particular connection, it will be easier for you to understand the thinker as well as you can have much more clarity when you're writing answers. Is it clear? So we'll start. Now, first we'll move on to what is society, what is the nature of society according to Durkheim. See, if you are trying to understand the basic idea of what society is according to Durkheim, you need to first consider his view that society is a sui generis reality. So, what do you understand by sui generis reality? It means unique. It means society is a unique reality. So, what do you mean by society is a unique reality? It means that even though there are individuals in the society, all the things that we see in society are independent of the individuals who are consisting of that particular society. Meaning, society is not the aggregate of individuals who are consisting of it. Is it clear? So that means individual characteristics or individual attitudes does not have any role. Instead, what we have to do is we have to always analyze things at the social level or at the collectivity level. Now, this is nothing but the views of positivism, where in positivism also we are not focusing on studying individual aspects, because by studying individual aspects we will not be able to make it a scientific study. We will not be able to do an objective study when we are studying at an individual level. Instead, we focus at the collective level. So that is the idea behind society as a sui generis reality, meaning society exists as an independent reality and it is independent of the features or the characteristics of individuals who consist of that particular society. Is it clear? All set? Now, you need to also understand that when it comes to that of Durkheim, he gave emphasis to that of social facts. So, what are social facts? According to Durkheim, social facts are the subject matter, or social fact is the subject matter of sociology. Now, why does he say that social facts is actually the subject matter of sociology? Yeah. Yeah. See, it is also aligning with his view that when we study, social reality, we need to focus at the collectivity level, right? Social facts is also nothing but studying things at the collective level, meaning in social facts, we are studying about the social institutions, social practices, etc. Right? So, according to Durkheim, we should focus only on the social facts or social institutions and social practices in order to understand the social reality. We should never look at the individual level. So he considered everything as social facts. All social institutions, all social practices were considered by Durkheim as social facts. Clear? Now, this aligns with the topic, the theme that we have discussed in the beginning. What is that theme? He wanted to make sociology a scientific discipline. In order to make it a scientific discipline, we must study it at an objective level. In order to study it at an objective level, we have to study it at the collectivity level. That is why he is giving emphasis to the social facts. Clear? All set? Now, what are social facts? External to an individual. Endowed with the power of coercion. By the reason of which it controls him. Okay. Now, see, basically, when it comes to definitions, you definitely have to learn the definitions. But thing is, if you can understand what the thinker is actually trying to explain through that definition, it will become much easier for you to reproduce it. Okay. If you merely by heart it, it will become really difficult for you to reproduce it. Now, what is social fact? It is the ways of acting, thinking, and feeling which are external to an individual. What does that mean? Okay. It means that the acts, the feelings, or the thinking that the individual have or the individual does is not actually coming from within the individual. Instead, it is because of the influence of society. Right? The acts that we do is based on the influence that we get from the society or the influence of society on us. The feelings that we have, the thinking that we do, everything is nothing but the influence of society on individuals. Means there is nothing subjective in an individual. Everything is just a reflection of how society influenced that individual. Clear? That is what he mean by ways of acting, thinking and feeling which are external to an individual. Now, it is not merely an influence, but it also exerts a certain level of pressure on the individuals because we are bound to be thinking, feeling, and acting based on the influence of the society. That is why in the second part of the definition he says that, what is the second part? Endowed with the power of coercion by the reason of which it controls him. Meaning all these aspects, that social pressure, that social influence, it exerts certain pressure on us, right? We are supposed to behave in certain level when we are in the public, right? We are supposed to speak in a particular way. We are supposed to communicate with others in a particular way, right? We are supposed to feel or think in a particular way. All these are influenced, and it is actually a kind of pressure that society exerts on each and every individual. Understood the idea? So once you understand this, it becomes a bit more easier and bit more manageable. So ways of acting, thinking, and feeling external to an individual and endowed with the power of coercion by the reason of which it controls him. Clear? All set? All right. Now, when it comes to that of the social facts, again, we need to understand Durkheim is emphasizing on focusing on the collectivity level, because here in social facts, we are dealing with the social institutions and social practices and not at the individual level. So, according to Durkheim, sociological analysis should begin with the analysis of social facts. Okay, we have to analyze all social institutions because that is what influences individual behavior. That is what influences individual actions. So instead of studying individual actions, we just need to focus on the collectivity and the influence of social facts. Now, thereby there are two important aspects. One is we can study that objectively. As a result, we can create a scientific discipline, right? Because he wanted to make sociology a scientific discipline. Now, why does he actually, or why did he mainly focus on creating sociology as a scientific discipline? Because
Sociology was still then mocked by many as being part of
yeah, see, the
commonsensical. It was considered as commonsensical.
right, it was considered as commonsensical. Sociology was considered as commonsensical. See, until Durkheim's contributions, sociology was considered to be a part of other social sciences like psychology, philosophy, etc. It was not given a distinct, recognition, or it was not a distinct subject matter. So Durkheim believed that if we can create sociology as a scientific discipline, it will definitely get the status of a distinctive subject matter. So that is one of the reasons why Durkheim focused on creating sociology as a scientific discipline, and that is why in most of his theory he wanted to study social reality in an objective way. Clear? That is why there is no focus on individuals. Is it clear? Okay. Now, according to Durkheim, there are several characteristics, or there are few characteristics of social facts. So, once you understand the definition of social facts, these characteristics will become easier for you. One is externality, meaning
It emerges not from within the
individual. It is external to an individual. It is independent from the individuals. Instead, it exists as an independent reality. Right? So that is what we mean by externality. Second is constraint, meaning it exerts certain kind of pressure on individuals. It actually places certain constraints on individuals, right? We have to follow these social facts. If we do not follow such social facts, then what will happen? We will get social sanctions, right? So that is how the social facts exerts pressure on us. For example, at a particular point we need to get married. If we do not get married, then society will keep on asking us why we are not getting married, right? So that kind of pressure will be given to us by the society. Now another example is when it comes to India. According to the Indian situation, based on the social facts in India, you are supposed to marry within your caste, right? If you do not marry within your caste, you will get social sanctions, and the social sanctions may go to the extreme where you may get killed, right? Honor killing usually happens in India, right? Because of this intercaste marriages. So that is where you need to understand the constraints, and you can also quote the caste as well as intercaste marriages as an example for constraints. Then independence. What do you mean by independence?
Independent of the attributes of the individual.
Yeah. See, the characteristics of a social fact is not the sum total of characteristics of individuals. Instead, it have its own unique characteristics. So that is meant by independent. Individual characteristics does not influence the social facts. Only collectivity can influence social facts. Is it clear? And finally, generality, meaning the yeah the hold of social facts or the influence of social facts are applicable to all the members of society. Now let's take language as an example for explaining these characteristics. Externality. Language is independent of an individual, right? It is external to an individual. Even before we are born, language exists in the society, and even after we die, language remains here. Second is constraints. We need to use the language in a proper way. If we do not use that in a proper way, then we may get sanctions. Like if we use abusive words, we may get social sanctions, right? So there is a particular way in which we need to use the language. Then independence, an individual cannot change the language. Only collectivity can bring changes in the language, right? An individual cannot do that. And finally, generality, the influence of language of a particular area is there on all the members of that particular society. Clear? Right? Now next we are going to discuss about the types of social facts. There are two types of social facts, material social facts and non-material social facts. What are material social facts? Those social facts that we can observe, and non-material social facts are those social facts which we cannot observe. Now, see, basically, when it comes to observation, the thing that we need to understand here is material social facts are those social facts which have a proper structure. Like, say, for example, family. We can observe family, right? Because it have a particular kind of structure. We can observe political system. We can observe the economic system. So all those social structures which have a proper structure and which we can actually observe, we can consider it as a material social fact. But on the other hand, there are certain social facts which we cannot observe, which do not have a proper structure. For example, social solidarity. We cannot observe the solidarity present at the level of a particular society, right? We can only understand that, we cannot observe it, right? Similarly, collective conscience, a concept explained by Durkheim. Collective conscience of a society again cannot be understood, can only be understood, sorry, but it cannot be observed, right? We cannot study that by observing it. So such social facts are referred to as non-material social facts. Clear? According to Durkheim, which are more important, material social facts or non-material social facts? Non-material social facts are more important than material social facts because it is the non-material social facts that influences material social facts, right? It is the collective conscience of a particular society that largely determines and influences the economic system, the political system, the family structure, religion, etc. That is why he said that non-material social facts are more important than material social facts. Clear? All set? Now, so we have covered what is social facts, right? So that is the nature of society according to, or what constitutes society according to Durkheim is nothing but the social facts, right? Clear? So the second part we are going to discuss about the methodology to study society. As we have understood the nature of society, the next important thing is to create a particular methodology so that we can study society from a scientific point of view. Now that is also very important for Durkheim. All right. Now, when it comes to methodology adopted by Durkheim, we need to understand that he tried to adopt scientific methodology into studying sociology. And when it comes to that of the scientific methodology in studying sociology, he adopted four important aspects. One is observation, then classification, comparison, and generalization. These are the four important steps when it comes to that of sociological studies according to Durkheim. Okay, so we will start discussing each and every step in his methodology. So the first step is observation. What is observation? It is like, see, again, you can see that all these methodologies or all these methods or steps are mostly used in scientific research as well, right? In scientific research also there is observation, there is classification, right? Instead of comparison in scientific research, it will be experimentation. That is the only difference, right? Otherwise, it is similar to that of the scientific research methods. Now, in observation, Durkheim say that first and foremost, the first important rule of observation is you have to consider social facts as things. So when it comes to that of sociological research, we are going to study social facts, right? Because according to Durkheim, sociological studies should be related to that of studying social facts, right? And when we are studying social facts, it must be considered as things. Now, why did he say that it must be considered as things? To make it more objective, because when we start considering social facts as things, our studies will also become more objective. As a result, our studies will become more scientific in nature. Clear? Okay. Second is, all the preconceptions must be eradicated. What do you mean by preconceptions must be eradicated? According to Durkheim, a researcher should keep himself or herself away from all the biases, right? As a result, all the preconceived notions regarding that topic should be eradicated. Now, a good example for that is Durkheim's study of suicide, where he rejected all the pre-existing theories of suicide, like the psychological theory, climate theory, imitation theory, etc. As a result, the researcher will be free and may consider that particular topic as fresh, right? Otherwise, the influences of other studies may come up in the researcher's study. That is why he said that in order to make it objective, in order to make it more scientific, you should be keeping yourself away from all the biases. Third is, formulate the concepts precisely. Formulating the concept precisely means you should actually define that particular social fact that you are studying. So, whenever a researcher is studying a particular social fact, the first and foremost important thing that he or she must do is they should properly define that concept or a social fact. Now, what is the importance of defining the social fact? According to Durkheim, it will reduce ambiguity. Otherwise, ambiguity may come up, right? Say, for example, I am studying about crime. If I do not, define what is crime, then when it comes to my studies, there can be certain ambiguities. When it comes to the statistics, also there can be ambiguities, because what did I personally take as crime may be different from another person considering crime, right? Because crime have several different dimensions. Is it clear? So that is why Durkheim defined everything. Like when he was discussing about, say for example, legal system, he first defined what is crime. When he was studying suicide, first he defined what is suicide. So in all his studies, you can see that he starts with the definition of what he is studying. Clear? So it is to remove ambiguity. And finally, look for collective manifestations, meaning whenever you are studying a social fact, you must look at the collective level. You should not look at it at an individual level. So when Durkheim studied suicide, he did not look into the individual cases of suicide. He only focused on what? Suicide rates, or the collective aspect of suicide, right? He did not study any individual case of suicide, right? He did not take a particular individual's suicide, and he did not study that holistically. Instead, what he did was he took the suicide rates. Now that makes it a collective study. Clear? Again, you have to consider all this, where you have to also understand that particular theme. You have to have that theme in your mind. Durkheim wants sociology to be a scientific discipline, so is trying hard to make sociological studies as close to that of scientific studies. Is it clear? All set? Now let's focus on the next aspect, which is classification. According to Durkheim, after observing a particular social fact, you can classify it into either normal social fact or pathological social fact. So what is the difference between normal social fact and pathological social fact? According to Durkheim, when it comes to a particular society, there will be social facts, and these social facts are not permanently classified into normal or pathological. Instead, it is based on the frequency. Frequency meaning, suppose, for example, crime is present in every society, right? As a result, crime can be considered as a normal social fact. It is generally found in a society, right? Suicide, it is generally found in a society, so it can be considered as a normal social fact. However, if the rate of crime or if the rate of suicide increases, where it goes to an abnormal level, then that social fact becomes pathological social fact. So all the social institutions and social practices or social, aspects that we usually encounter in a society will be classified as a normal social fact. So classification of normal and pathological social fact is not based on a distinction between positive aspect and negative aspect. It is not like that. Prostitution, even though morally we consider it as a negative aspect, but it is not considered as a pathological social fact. Instead, it is a normal social fact. Crime, again, right? We generally consider it as a negative aspect, it as a dysfunction. But when it comes to classification, crime at a normal rate is a normal social fact. When the rate of crime increases, it becomes pathological social fact. Is it clear? As a result, according to Durkheim, a social fact in one society may be normal, but in another society may become pathological. Is it clear? Okay. Also, in a society, in two different time periods, the same social facts may become normal and pathological. So it is not fixed, it is not permanent, it will keep on changing, it is varying in nature depending on society to society as well as from time to time. Clear? Okay, an example for that is Sadi. Yeah, Sadi at one point in India, Sadi was a normal social fact. It was normally encountered in that particular in Indian society. But now it is, if sadi occur, it will become a pathological social fact because it is not normally encountered in the society. As a result, it will be treated as a pathological social fact. Clear? All set? Now, let's move on to the third aspect, which is after comparison, we'll come to generalization. Okay. So, next is comparison. What is comparison? It is similar to that of experimentation in natural science. Experimentation in sociological studies are not possible. Why? Because we are studying human beings and we cannot carry out experimentation on human beings as in case of scientific studies where we can do that in a laboratory, right? We cannot do that on human beings. As a result, Durkheim said that instead what we can do is we can do comparative studies or comparative analysis. It is referred to as multivariate analysis. Okay, what is multivariate analysis? What we do is we will compare different societies and we will check for positive correlation between the variables between these societies. So, by comparing the variables in these two societies, we will be able to draw conclusion regarding various social phenomena. For example, suppose we are studying about drug abuse and the reasons for drug abuse. By doing comparative studies, we will be able to draw conclusions and we will be able to figure out the reasons for increasing drug abuse in certain societies. How will we do that? We will compare two different societies having high drug abuse cases and we will find common variables in these two societies. And again, we will compare this with another society where the drug abuse rates are very low. Now, if the variables that we see in these two states or these two societies are missing in the society where the drug abuse cases are low, we can draw the conclusion that these factors are responsible for increasing drug abuse. Have you understood the concept? Got the idea? So it is through comparison we will be able to draw such variable analysis or where we will be able to do such kind of multivariate analysis. Yeah, see there are two types of comparison. One is cross-cultural and cross-temporal or historical. Okay. Cross-cultural means where we compare two different societies in the same time period. Okay. Now, cross-historical meaning we will compare the same society at two different time period. Are you getting the point? Okay. If you have any doubt, you can just ask me. So, when it comes to comparison, first and foremost, most important thing is you have to understand what is multivariate analysis. See, you don't have to explain the entire aspect of, you need not elaborately explain what multivariate analysis is. You just need to have an idea and you have to just mention like we will be comparing various variables in different societies to draw conclusions, because that is what is done in multivariate analysis or comparison. You need not have to give example for that as well. Okay, it's not necessary because you will not get enough space or time to give those kind of elaborate explanation. Instead, you have to just mention what we do in that particular stage or in that step. Okay. As well as you have to write that there are two types of comparison when it comes to, classifying comparison. One is cross-cultural and the second is cross-historical. Cross-cultural means we will be comparing two different societies at the same time period, and when it comes to that of cross-historical, we will be comparing the same society at two different time period. Clear? Now, an example for that is Durkheim's study of suicide, where what he did was he compared different societies based on the suicide rate, and he were able to identify the factors that was present in one society which had higher suicide rate and was absent in another society which had low suicide rate. Based on that, he actually came with the conclusion that the reasons for suicide is integration and regulation. It is basically by using the comparative method. Clear? All set? Okay. Then let's discuss about generalization. So in generalization, Durkheim said that the reason for conducting sociological studies is to draw conclusions, to bring out the final outcome of the study, right? And the final outcome of the study may be in two forms. One is it may be a causal explanation or it can be a functional explanation. According to Durkheim, when we are studying a normal social fact, the conclusions or the kind of generalization that we make will be functional explanation, because it is a normal social fact, it is existing in the society, the rates are not abnormal, meaning that particular social fact is serving certain functions in the society. So our explanation will also be focusing on explaining the functional contributions of that social fact. Is it clear? All right. Now, when it comes to that of a pathological social fact, the explanation that we give, because it is abnormal, the rates are abnormal, right? So the explanation that we are going to give there will be the causal explanation. Why that abnormal or pathological social fact is happening in the society, right? Why is it existing in the society? What is the reason for the pathological social fact? So it will be a causal explanation rather than functional explanation. You got the idea? Is it clear? So what we are doing here is, see again, as I mentioned in the last class, mostly what we do is we study social facts, we study methodology. There will not be any interconnection between these two. See, these are interrelated. We are studying social facts. Our methodology is dealing with social facts, right? So there is some kind of connection between these two, right? Right. So that is how we need to understand this. And the entire purpose of these two parts is Durkheim wanted to study sociology as a scientific discipline. Okay, that is the ultimate aim of Durkheim when it comes to his methodology as well as social facts. Clear? So, what are the limitations? Non-material social facts cannot be observed. So he mentions about studying things from a scientific point of view, but he is mentioning about non-material social facts, and he also went to the extent where he said that non-material social facts are more important than material social facts. But we cannot scientifically study non-material social facts because we cannot observe it. Right? Yes, please tell me.
Individual level is only not considered.
He did not consider the individuals because definitely we know that sociological studies cannot be similar to that of the scientific studies, because in scientific studies we are dealing with objects, but in sociological studies we are dealing with human beings. Human beings have consciousness, right? As a result, each individual may not respond in a similar way to that of the social facts. There are people who are indulged in or who indulge themselves in crime, right? There are individuals who actually do not subscribe to that of the normal social facts that we see in the society, the cultural practices. They move against such practices. So why does that happen? Because the level of pressure that the social facts have on individuals are not the same. It depends on individual to individual. He did not consider that in his studies. So what you need to do is, whenever you are trying to explain a criticism of a thinker, right? You need to also understand that there are broadly three schools when it comes to dealing with what sociology must study. First school is the positivist school, which say that sociologists must focus on studying the objective aspects, the collective level. There is the non-positivist school, which studies, or anti-positivist school, which studies at the individual level or the subjective level. And there is Weber, who mix both of these aspects. So when you are writing this criticism of Durkheim, where you are trying to mention that he did not consider the individual level, there, in order to make your answers more, to give that kind of a feeling that you are adding more facts or more theory, you can mention that according to the symbolic interactionist perspective, because symbolic interactionist perspective is non-positivist perspective. Durkheim study does not give importance to the agency of individuals, because symbolic interactionism gives importance to agency of individuals.
Is it better to write as symbolic interactionism and for non-positive?
Symbolic, if you write non-positivist or symbolic interaction, I will say writing symbolic interactionism is better, because non-positive is a bit more generic, right? Now, difference of causal explanation and functional explanation. See, causal explanation and functional explanation means, see, when we are learning a normal social fact, right, it is not abnormal. So as a result, if a particular social fact which is normal and it is existing in the society, it might be existing for a reason, right? It might be serving some purpose or functions in the society. So there we are going to explain the functional aspects of that social fact. That is why we say that in normal social facts we usually give functional explanation. But when it comes to an abnormal social fact or a pathological social fact, we are going to discuss why that pathological social fact has emerged in the society. So there we will be giving causal explanation. What are the reasons for emergence of such social facts? Okay. All right. Is it clear? All set?
We can also say about deviance existing in society.
Yeah.
He's saying that social facts are coercive in nature, but deviance is still existing in the society.
See, deviance, see, crime, okay, as I've already mentioned, crime is a normal social fact. If the crime rate increases, right? So, if you are learning about the crime, or if you are studying about the crime,
He says about it influences every individual in the society,
yeah.
but deviance is happening.
Yeah, so for as an example for criticism of Durkheim, okay. So for criticism of Durkheim, you can also mention that he said that the influence of social facts on individuals, right? You can mention about that, because he said that there is generality when it comes to that of social facts, but that generality is not absolutely right, because there are individuals who are not subscribing to the social facts. They may move away from the social facts. So you can mention about the case of deviance, right? Why certain people show deviant behavior, Durkheim cannot explain that. Is it clear? Also, when it comes to that of methodology of Durkheim, there are again certain issues. What are the issues associated with the methodology? He did not define things, right? He mentioned that all social facts must be considered as things, but he did not define what is things. Things can be separate, different to different people, right? So that can be mentioned. Then his classification of pathological and normal social fact is also not very clear, right? Because it is not, you can say that it is not concrete, it is highly variable. So some may consider a particular social fact as pathological, some others may consider it as normal. So when I ask you about, say, for example, crime in Kerala society, some may say that it is a normal social fact, but some may consider that the crimes that we see in Kerala society are now pathological in the sense that it has increased in the past few years. Suppose, I'm just giving you some, imaginary examples. Okay, it's not real. So likewise, there can be certain ambiguity when it comes to that of classification of social facts. Clear? Okay. So these are some of the criticisms that you can mention when it comes to Durkheim. Then let's focus on the next aspect, which is social solidarity. It's It's very interesting. This is the third part, which is first we have covered what is society or the nature of society, where we have discussed about society as a unique sui generis reality, as well as we have discussed about social facts. Then we discussed the methodology to study society. Once we have understood what is society, we need to develop a methodology. There we have discussed about the 4 steps: observation, classification, comparison, generalization. Now Durkheim is focusing on social order. What is social order and how social order changes in society. Okay. Now, in order to explain that, he used the concept of collective conscience as well as used the concept of solidarity and division of labor. Now, all these things are interrelated. You have to understand this again as a story. Okay. See, why I am stressing on this point is, if you understand this concept as a kind of a story, then irrespective of the type of question that UPSC asks, you will definitely be able to comfortably write the answer according to the demand of the question. Because once you understand the concept, it will be easy for you to address the question really well. Because there is correlation between the clarity in a topic and addressing. If the clarity, when the clarity increases, addressing will also automatically improve. Okay. If you by heart something, irrespective of the way in which UPSC asks question, you will be writing the same thing, because only thing that you have learned is, or to write that particular portion in a particular way as it is given in your text. Right? So you will be focusing only on reproducing that aspect instead of giving focus on the question. See, this is where most of the students end up getting less marks in sociology. They will be writing answers which they feel is the right answer because they have only studied that particular concept in that particular way in their text. And when you write that particular topic as such in your answer sheet, you will feel that you are going to get good marks, because from your perspective, you have written all the points that are given in the text, but you haven't given attention to whether the question demands the same answer or not. Sometimes you will have to twist the content a bit. Sometimes you will have to stress on a particular part a bit more, and you have to de-stress on another particular part. You will not focus on that. And once the marks comes out, you will feel that there is some problem. Sometimes you may also complain that UPSC's correction method is not right. Okay. So that is the problem. Clear? So let us understand what Durkheim is trying to explain in his idea or theory of solidarity, social order, collective conscience, all are the same. So let's according to Durkheim, in every society there is something known as collective conscience. So what is collective conscience? Beliefs and sentiments average common to average members of society. Right? Again, you have to definitely learn the definitions, but try to understand the meaning. Okay, don't just merely by heart it. It is the beliefs and sentiments which are common to average members of society. Right? So that is collective conscience. According to Durkheim, this collective conscience will have a very strong hold on individuals in certain societies where the collective conscience as such is strong. In certain societies, the hold of collective conscience, the spread of that collective conscience or the intensity of that collective conscience will be high. As a result, members of that society will be subject to such collective conscience, or they will be following or influenced by the collective conscience. So those societies where there is a strong hold of collective conscience, the members of that society will be united by this strong collective conscience. And as such, an order is brought in that society. Now, such kind of an order, such kind of a unity that is created out of a strong collective conscience, we refer it to as mechanical solidarity. Is it clear? So there are societies in which the collective conscience have a very strong hold on the members of such society. Now that collective conscience will unify the members of society, right? In such cases where the collective conscience brings in such kind of solidarity, we refer to such society as society having mechanical solidarity. All right. What are the features of society with mechanical solidarity? One is homogeneity. Why do we say that there is homogeneity in such societies? Because of the strong hold of collective conscience. What is collective conscience? Beliefs and sentiments which are common to average members. So that beliefs and sentiments are common to everyone and it have very strong hold over the individuals. As a result, what will happen? Individuals will be same, right? Their attitudes, their beliefs, right? Their values, norms, everything will be the same. As a result, we can see that in such society, people are homogeneous. There will be homogeneity in such societies. Now, because of the strong hold of collective conscience, in such societies, what will be given more importance, individual or society? Society or the collectivity will be given more importance than individuals because of the strong hold of collective conscience. Clear? So as a result, individualism will not be given much emphasis, rather emphasis will be given on collectivity. Then, yeah, in such societies, interdependence among the people will also be limited because there is no much divisions among the people, right? As a result, interdependence among the people will also be somewhat limited. Instead, people will be homogeneous in nature. Clear? These are some of the basic features of society with mechanical solidarity. Now, legal system will deal with that. Okay, now I'm trying to explain that solidarity and how does it change. Okay, is it clear? Collective conscience. Then, based on the stronghold of collective conscience, we can say that in such societies we'll have mechanical solidarity. All right. Now, according to Durkheim, when a society moves forward, what will happen is there will be increase in material and moral density. What do you mean by material and moral density? Material density means population. So over a period of time in a society, definitely there will be increase in population. When the population increases, what will happen? Interactions between people will also increase. As a result, there can be increasing diversity among the people, right? When there is increasing diversity among the people, there will not be any singular common value systems that influence all the members of that society, meaning the hold of collective conscience will start to weaken. Is it clear? So, according to Durkheim, in a society with mechanical solidarity, because in the beginning, in all societies, there will be mechanical solidarity because of the stronghold of collective conscience. But as and when the society grow, when the number of people in the society increases, due to increasing material and moral density, due to increasing interactions, different value systems will start emerging in the society. There will be differences and diversity among the people. When diversity increases, what will happen? Mechanical solidarity or the collective conscience will weaken, and when collective conscience weaken, mechanical solidarity will also weaken. Clear? So material and moral density increases. As a result, what will happen? Collective conscience will become weak. Are you able to follow? Right? Now, when the collective conscience become weak, the result will be, what will be the result? Mechanical solidarity will also become weak. And when mechanical solidarity become weak, that means there is no order, stability or solidarity in the society. Now that is not good, right? For Durkheim, he gives much more emphasis on social order and social stability. So according to Durkheim, what brings solidarity into this society is nothing but division of labor. So what does division of labor do? According to Durkheim, division of labor is generally considered to be an economic aspect by most of the thinkers and most of the experts. But according to Durkheim, division of labor is not economic, instead it is social. Why does he say that it is social? Because according to Durkheim, because of division of labor, we are able to reinstate the order, stability and solidarity in society that has weakened due to weakening of collective conscience. How does division of labor help us in doing in that? Because by division of labor, we are cutting down the task into multiple smaller units, and by cutting down the task into multiple smaller units, we will be able to reduce competition in the society for resources. Right? We'll be able to reduce competition for resources in the sense when the population increases, obviously there will be increasing competition for resources. By division of labor and by dividing jobs into smaller units, we are now able to give jobs to large number of people. We are able to give them resources. So one important aspect of division of labor is it reduces competition and conflict. Have you understood how it reduces competition and conflict? How does it do that? By cutting down a larger job into small number of units, we are able to provide job opportunities to large number of people. Clear? The second aspect of division of labor is that it also creates interdependence, because as a consequence of division of labor, people are now involved in doing a particular specialized task. Right? As a result, we will not be able to source things that we require in our daily life on our own. We will become dependent on others for getting things that is required for sustaining our life. Right? Because when you consider the modern society, we are all dependent on each other. Right? You are dependent on me for services, I am dependent on you for my economic aspects. Right? When it comes to us, we are dependent on the grocery stores for getting the grocery, we are dependent on the farmers for getting the agricultural products. Right? So there is increasing interdependence because a single person is not sourcing and producing things that is required for their sustenance. They are ever more dependent on others. Now this interdependence, according to Durkheim, brings solidarity in the society. So this interdependence acts as a source of solidarity. So such societies where the solidarity is present due to the interdependence and division of labor, we refer to such societies as society with organic solidarity. Now, in such societies, according to Durkheim, what are the basic features of societies with organic solidarity? There is no homogeneity. Instead, society will be more heterogeneous. Right? That is why it is referred to as organic. Right? Heterogeneous in nature. All people are different. All individuals are different from each other. Right? Their values may be different. Their attitudes may be different. Second is more importance is given to individuals rather than giving importance to collectivity. There is high level of interdependence. So such societies we refer to as society with organic solidarity. Now this is how, according to Durkheim, social order is reinstated in society, how social order changes in society. According to Durkheim, traditional societies will be characterized by mechanical solidarity and modern societies are characterized by organic solidarity. All clear? Set? So you have to have that complete understanding of collective conscience, mechanical solidarity, then weakening of mechanical solidarity due to increasing material and moral density, then in order to reinstate social order, division of labor, and division of labor brings in organic solidarity. Clear? All set? All right. Any doubt, anyone? Characteristics of what? Characteristics of organic solidarity. Yeah, see, characteristics of organic solidarity, as I've already mentioned, one is it is heterogeneous in nature. Heterogeneous means individuals are not similar, are not the same. So that is one of the most important aspect or characteristic. Okay. Second is more importance are given to individuals than the collectivity, right? Individual freedom, individuality is given more importance, and also there is high level of interdependence. Even though people are different, yet they are more dependent on each other. Now that makes it organic. Clear? Okay. It need not be necessarily that the private ownership is a factor. Okay. It see basically in traditional societies we generally say that private ownership is less. That is why we associate private ownership with mechanical solidarity, but it is not necessarily the case, because when it comes to that of the estate system in Europe, there was private property, but at the same time the kind of solidarity they had in the society was mechanical solidarity. Clear? From an Indian societal point of view, maybe you can say that private property is a defining factor of organic solidarity, but not in the case of estate system in Europe. Clear? Okay. All set? Clear? Now, let us also try to see interdependence in mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity means, see, basically when it comes to that of the mechanical solidarity, there is very less interdependence. Okay. Now the reasons for less interdependence is, one is people are not doing specialized tasks, right? We may be involved in producing several different things. And as you all know, in traditional societies, family was a unit of production. They produced several things that was required by the family. I'm not saying that 100% of the things required by family are produced within the family, but the level of interdependence that they had was very limited. Right? They are dependent on others, especially for buying things, but that level of interdependence was very limited. But in modern societies, as we are only doing some specialized task, right? We are, highly dependent on others for meeting our needs. Right? I'm just teaching here, right? I'm not doing any other things. I'm not producing any other aspects. So my task is highly specialized. As a result, for every other thing that I need to sustain my life, I'm dependent on others. So that is why we say that interdependence is very high when it comes to that of organic solidarity, and that interdependence is the reason for solidarity according to Durkheim. Is it clear? So we never say that interdependence is not present in mechanical solidarity. Interdependence is only limited there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We can see that, because see, when it comes to that of the rural areas or rural parts of India, we can see mostly mechanical solidarity there. See, in reality, we can see a mix of these two things. Okay. From a theoretical point of view, we can separate mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity. And from a theoretical point of view, if you want to give examples, the rural part of India showcases most of the features of mechanical solidarity. Kerala, I think, as Kerala is considered to be a continuous suburb. Okay, because that is how people refer to Kerala. Kerala is not urban, not rural, it is a continuous suburb. So, in that sense, I will say that mostly we can say in Kerala society, organic solidarity is mostly present, because people are not very much identical, it is not like too much homogeneous, but at the same time, there are certain level of hold of collective conscience that is there on the people. But as I've already mentioned, better thing to do is, in order to make it more simple, You can say that in India, rural area showcases the features of mechanical solidarity, urban area showcases the features of organic solidarity.
Traditional elements and modern elements exist concomitantly.
Yeah, Yogendra Singh have mentioned that. That is regarding that traditional aspect and modern aspect, right? Yeah, that can also be considered as a kind of a variation of solidarity, but still, let's keep it simple. Rural areas, mechanical, urban areas, organic. Okay, all right. Now, let us move on to the next part. See, I'll be sharing that PPT in the channel, so you can refer to this PPT. I've discussed division of labor and all those stuff. Now let us also discuss about the legal system and solidarity. According to Durkheim, there is a connection between the legal system and solidarity. What is the connection between the same? See, the reason why Durkheim focused on the legal system is because later on in his studies, Durkheim identified that it is very difficult to observe non-material social facts, right? Because solidarity is a non-material social fact and we cannot readily observe the solidarity in a society, because when you asked about the kind of solidarity that we can see in Kerala society, we cannot mention that in a concrete way because we cannot observe it, right? So as a result, Durkheim said that there can be certain collective representations that actually reflect the non-material social fact. Okay, so what is collective representation? Meaning a non-material social fact will be reflected through certain material social facts. So by studying such material social facts that reflect the non-material social fact, we will be able to indirectly study the non-material social fact. Are you getting the point? So Durkheim said that solidarity is a non-material social fact. Now, what reflects solidarity in a particular society? It is the legal system. Legal system is a material social fact. It is the representation or collective representation of the non-material social fact, which is the solidarity. So, by studying the legal system, we will get a better idea regarding the kind of solidarity that exists in a society. So, Durkheim said that in societies with mechanical solidarity, we will see or we will be able to witness repressive legal system. Why repressive legal system? Because according to Durkheim, as there is strong hold of collective conscience and the society is given more importance than individuals, crime in such societies will be considered as crime against the society. As a result, the punishments given for such crimes will also be repressive. It will be, intense. Clear? So, societies with mechanical solidarity, according to Durkheim, will have repressive legal system. Here, the aim of punishment or the aim of that particular legal system is to punish those people who commit crime, right? Give them harsh punishments, because so that the solidarity of the society will not get affected, the collective conscience of the society will not get affected. Clear? So, by giving harsh punishments, they will be able to reinforce the collective conscience of the society. So, that is the aim of the punishment and the legal system. Okay, it is to punish them. It is not to reform them, or it is not to, kind of help them to overcome their issues, but it is to punish them, to give a particular kind of message that whoever, violates the collective conscience of society will be subject to harsh punishments. Now, according to Durkheim, in societies with organic solidarity, on the other hand, as individuals are given more importance than society, as there is less homogeneity, here the crime will not be considered as crime committed against the society. Instead, it will be considered as crime being committed against another individual. As a result, here the aim of the legal system or the kind of punishment that is given in such legal system will be reformative in nature. It is to reform the particular person, it is not to punish them, right? So such kind of punishments will be given. As a result, the punishments will not be harsh. Clear? All set? So that is the difference. So why he studied the legal system, that you need to understand. because as we earlier discussed as a criticism, right, we mentioned that non-material social facts cannot be observed. That was a criticism of Durkheim. So in his later studies, he also identified that, and he mentioned that as solidarity is something that we cannot observe and study, we need to look for certain other social facts that actually reflect this non-material social fact, that represent the non-material social fact. So that is why he studied the legal system. Is it clear? Have you got the point? Have you got the clarity? See, the thing is, all of these content you might have learned like twice or thrice or 4 times or 5 times, but the kind of clarity that you need to have on these concepts, how it is interrelated, how it is interconnected, that is more important, right? That will make your, the studying process much more easier. Clear? Okay. Then we will move on to, yeah, there is something known as pathological division of labor. This is a concept explained by Durkheim in order to give idea regarding how division of labor can also become dysfunctional. Because when it comes to that of the theory of Durkheim, he mainly mentioned about the positive aspect of division of labor. What is that? It brings solidarity, right? It reinstates that kind of social order and solidarity in the society. Now, in pathological division of labor, is trying to explain the dysfunctional types of division of labor. So there are 3 different types of abnormal forms of division of labor. One is anomic division of labor. What is anomic division of labor? Yeah, there is no norms or regulations, right? Such kind of division of labor without absence of, without any norms, or with the absence of norms, we can refer it to as anomic division of labor. Now this actually becomes, or this anomic division of labor takes place in society where there is rapid change. Okay, in such instances, the division of labor in such societies will be anomic in nature. See, an example for that is soon after industrialization, there was this rapid change, and as a result, the division of labor soon after industrialization was anomic in nature. Right? There was no regulations, there was no control regarding that of the working hours, there was no fixation of minimum wages, there was no standards regarding the safety measures. Right? So such kind of division of labor that arises due to rapid changes in society, we can refer it to as anomic division of labor. Now next is forced division of labor. What is forced division of labor? According to Durkheim, in certain societies, the division of labor will not be based on merit. Instead, it is fixed and forced. Example, caste system in India. Here, the division of labor is not based on merit. Instead, it is fixed by birth and it is forced. Then third is managerial deficiency. It means in order for the division of labor to function effectively, there should be effective management. Due to managerial deficiency, division of labor may become ineffective, and it may be considered as pathological division of labor. Clear? Okay, see, governance issues can also be referred to as a part of managerial deficiency. Failure of bureaucracy is mainly because of managerial deficiency, right? High level of corruption and all those stuff. Okay. Now, yeah, this you can just go through it. What are the various criticisms? Can you mention few criticisms? Okay. Okay. Marxian perspective, high division of labor is a reason for. Yesterday we discussed about that, right? What are the causes of alienation? Yesterday, not yesterday, day before yesterday. What are the causes of alienation? Causes of alienation. One is division of labor, capitalistic mode of production, and third is mechanization. Okay, nice. Okay. Now, when it comes to that of Marxist thinkers, we can say that according to them, high division of labor will lead to increasing alienation. So it is not functional as Durkheim say; it is also dysfunctional. Then division of labor and solidarity. They're going to combine. You have to mention the criticisms in a combined way. You should not just think about division of labor. You have to think about the whole aspect, like mechanical solidarity, collective conscience. See, the criticisms are, one is, he mentions about collective conscience, right? The collective conscience cannot be observed. It cannot be mentioned. It cannot be studied scientifically. Now, Durkheim, being a particular person who advocates scientific study of society, mentioning about collective conscience is actually contradictory, right? Because he wants to make it a scientific study, but he is talking about collective conscience which cannot be studied scientifically in any way. It cannot be observed also. It is highly subjective in nature. Second,
A society that is based on organic solidarity can also show elements of mechanical solidarity.
yeah, the distinction between organic and mechanical solidarity is kind of binary view. You can also say that there can be societies which actually are in between these two stages. There can be societies in transition, but he considered only mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity, so it's a binary view, right? Then conflicts in the society, correct. When it comes to division of labor, we mentioned that it can lead to alienation. You can also say that division of labor is also used by the capitalists to increase exploitation. So Durkheim did not consider the exploitative aspect of division of labor. He only mentioned about the positive role of division of labor and how it contributes to order and stability in society. Then when it comes to that of any other, yeah, there is a confusion between social integration and system integration. When it comes to Durkheim's theory, he focuses on mechanical solidarity, right? In mechanical solidarity, he is mentioning about social integration. What is social integration? Different elements of the society or individuals in the society are integrated well. Now, when it comes to that of the organic solidarity, he is mentioning about system integration. Here, the individuals are not actually integrated with each other, but different systems are integrated, right? So, there is a distinction between social integration and system integration. He does not consider this distinction. Instead, he considers both of these, integration as a single type of integration, and he refers it to as social integration itself. Clear? Then,
They were augmenting social solidarity cannot be measured.
yeah, but that we already mentioned about the collective conscience, right? So the theories that he mentioned is largely not. Okay, so try to bring around, like I'll say, if you understand the concept, definitely you will be able to bring about like 3 to 4 points. Okay, you have to only add like another 1 or 2 points from the notes. Okay, so criticisms, don't try to learn firsthand. Instead, after learning the theory, try to think about the criticisms yourself. Okay, don't refer the notes. First, try to bring your own criticisms, based on the understanding of that particular theory. After that, you can just refer to the notes and add more points. That is the effective way of studying, and by this you will also understand whether you have clarity in the concept. If you have clarity in the concept, definitely you will get some, at least 3 to 4 different criticisms. All right, so now let's focus on suicide. Very simple but effective. Now, suicide is considered to be one of the most important studies of Durkheim and one of the most important studies in sociology also, because the study of suicide gave sociology the status of a separate subject or a distinct subject or discipline. Okay, until the study of suicide, sociology was considered as part of philosophy and psychology. It was after the study that everyone started giving that distinct recognition to sociology. So that is why we say that it is one of the most important studies in sociology as well as one of the most important study of Durkheim. Now, let us try to understand suicide through the methodology of Durkheim. First, we will do that. Okay, and then we will try to explain the theory of suicide. So, can you apply the methodology of Durkheim in his study of suicide, because Durkheim did the same thing. Durkheim came up with his rules of sociological research, and by using the steps mentioned in his methodology, he studied suicide. So UPSC have also asked question in the similar nature. What is the methodology? Explain the methodology used by Durkheim in his study of suicide. Yeah. So whenever you are asked to write about the application or the use of methodology, first you need to mention what? The steps in his methodology. What are the steps? Observation, classification, comparison, and generalization. Okay. Now let's start with observation. What are the rules of observation? Should be considered as things. So suicide was considered as things by Durkheim. He said that it should be considered as things. Okay. Meaning it should be studied objectively, not as a subjective phenomenon. Second is he rejected all the preconceived notions regarding the topic, meaning he rejected all the pre-existing theories on suicide like imitation theory, psychological theory, geographical theory, climate theory, etc. Okay. Then third is he defined suicide. What is suicide? What is the definition of suicide given by Durkheim? Any case of death. Okay. See, suicide is any case of death causing directly or indirectly from a positive or negative act performed by the victim, knowing that it will produce the result. Okay. Any case of death causing directly or indirectly meaning it may be result of the direct action taken by the victim, or it can be caused due to that particular action. It may not be direct. From a positive or negative act meaning, positive meaning that actor must have have done something, okay, have taken the initiative to do that. Say for example, yeah, in order to hang, a person is taking a positive. Positive and negative doesn't mean like good and bad. Okay, positive means that person is doing something to do that. Negative means a person is abstaining from doing things that are necessary for sustaining their life. That is the negative aspect. Okay. Say for example, one is suffering from a particular medical condition and that person is not taking the medicine. That means they are abstaining from doing something. In positive act, they are doing something. Clear? So that is the difference. So any case of death causing directly or indirectly from the positive or negative act performed by the victim, knowing that it will produce the result. This is known as correct. All right. Now, fourth one is he looked into the collectivity rather than looking at the individual cases. Now, what do you mean by looking at the collectivity? Yeah, he made use of suicide rates rather than looking at the individual cases of suicide. So this is how Durkheim followed the methodology, like the observation step. Okay, clear? The 4 steps. First is considered suicide as things. Second is all preconceived theories on suicide was rejected. Third is defined suicide, and fourth is looked at the collectivity. Then next step is classification. What he did was he classified the high rates of or abnormal rates of suicide as pathological social fact. So abnormal rates of suicide was considered as pathological social fact by Durkheim. And next stage is comparison stage. In comparison stage, what he did was he compared the statistics related to suicide of different societies. He did a cross-cultural comparison among Catholics and Protestants, among married and unmarried, right? So likewise, he did a comparison of data of suicide. Cross-historical analysis was also undertook, but mainly it was cross-cultural. Yeah, it was mainly cross-cultural because at that particular society, he studied the different rates of suicide among different societies. Now, the time period that he took was the same. Okay, so mainly it was cross-cultural. Then, based on the comparison, based on the multivariate analysis that he did, based on the different societies and the suicide rate, he came up with the causal explanation of the pathological social fact, which is the high suicide rate, which he explained as what are the reasons that influenced integration and regulation. This is how you need to understand the methodology of suicide, or how Durkheim applied his methodology in the study of suicide. Clear? So starting with that of observation, yeah, correct. Clear? Okay. Now let us also study or understand his theory of suicide in detail. See, basically, when it comes to that of Durkheim, to understand or study suicide, what he did was he took the official data of or official statistics of suicide. Okay, and based on that, he did a comparative study among the suicide rates among different societies. What he understood was, among certain societies, the suicide rates were higher compared to other societies. So, in order to explain this, he used the concept of social currents. So, what is social currents? Yeah, according to Durkheim, social currents are social facts which have not crystallized into a concrete form. Meaning, these are kind of a temporary social fact. Meaning, they will, emerge in the society for a particular period of time, for a temporary period of time, and they will vanish. Such kind of social facts which have not crystallized into a permanent form is referred to as social currents. According to Durkheim, based on the changes in collective conscience of a society, in such societies, certain social currents that promote suicide will appear. Now, the social currents that promote suicide was referred to as suicidogenic currents by Durkheim. So, what does this mean? According to Durkheim, depending on the collective conscience of a society and the changes in the collective conscience of a society, certain factors will lead to generation of suicidogenic currents in such societies. And when the suicidogenic currents emerge in the society or appear in the society, suicide rates of that society will increase. Okay. Basically, whether suicidogenic currents will appear or not is largely determined by the nature of the society, by the collective conscience of such societies. Certain societies are subject to appearance of or emergence of suicidogenic currents, and as a result, in such societies, we can also see high level of suicide. Is it clear? Okay. Now, according to Durkheim, the factors that mainly contribute to emergence of suicidogenic currents in a particular society are integration and regulation. They act as the suicidogenic currents, or they influence the suicidogenic currents. Now, is it clear till this particular part? Okay. So, we started with what is suicide, then we explained how Durkheim studied suicide. He looked into the official statistics of suicide. By looking into the official statistics of suicide, he understood that in certain societies, suicide rates were comparatively higher, and he wanted to understand the reasons for that. Now, based on the comparative study, he identified that there can be suicidogenic, or in certain societies, based on their collective conscience, suicidogenic currents will emerge, and when the suicidogenic currents emerge, suicide rates will also increase. He identified that there are two factors that influence suicidogenic currents, which are integration and regulation. Okay, clear? Now, based on that, based on integration and regulation, based on these two factors that actually influence the suicidogenic current, he classified suicide into four types. What are those four types? There are four types of suicides. Altruistic, meaning too much of integration. Then egoistic, there is no integration. Fatalistic, too much of regulation. Absence of regulation meaning anomic. So these are the four different types of suicides according to Durkheim. Now, I hope you all know the meaning of these four types of suicides. So what is altruistic suicide or examples of altruistic suicide? Soldiers. Okay, soldiers going into the enemy camp. Okay, as suicide bombers can be quoted as an example of altruistic suicide because of the integration with the country, with the integration of the nation, they want to somehow end the enemy even without giving importance to their own life. So that can be considered as an example of altruistic suicide. You can also mention, like, that is from a positive point of view. You can also mention the case of terrorists, right? Suicide bombers among terrorists, they are also doing the same kind, they are also committing the same kind of suicide because of the high level of integration with the terrorist organizations. Clear? So that can be given as an example. Then regarding that of egoistic suicides, lack of integration, farmer suicides. Okay, how exactly can we consider it as egoistic suicide? You have to give specific aspect. Because of debt trap. Okay, yeah, you can mention because of the debt where they are not able to repay the debt, and as a result they may lose their property, they may lose their house, they have to leave that particular place. That will lead to less integration because they are highly integrated into the society. Now they have lost their land and they have lost their home. So the fear of or the insecurity of leaving that particular village may lead to a situation of suicide, and that can be quoted as an example of egoistic suicide. See, one thing that you all must understand is, if suppose you are taking a particular category of suicide, like say farmer suicide, you can classify farmer suicide into all of these types depending on the nature. Say for example, we have taken the case of debt here, right? See, the debt based suicide can also be classified into fatalistic suicide. Why? Too much regulation from the money lender may also lead to suicide. So that is a fatalistic suicide, right? Due to debt, as they have lost their land and their home, they are leaving that particular society. Because of that, they are committing suicide. It becomes egoistic, right? Now, when it comes to that of altruistic suicide, in order for or in order to get certain kind of benefits from the government, or during a protest by the farmers, if certain farmers commit suicide to send a strong message, right? Such suicides are altruistic because they are committing suicide in the expectation that their death will lead to better policies and better benefits for other farmers. Now that is happening because of high level of integration among them. So that can be explained as a case of or example of altruistic suicide. And when it comes to that of anomic suicide, lack of regulation, how can we classify farmer suicide into that particular category? Lack of regulation, meaning lack of or unable, as they are not able to access institutional credit, they have to rely on the money lenders, and once they take loan from the money lenders, they will get into the debt trap, and that will lead to suicide. Now the entire reason for that is lack of regulation by the government, or because of the exploitation by the middlemen that the farmers commit suicide. That can also be mentioned as a case of anomic suicide, because there again there is no regulation by the government. Middlemen are able to get more money than farmers. They take goods from farmers at very cheap prices, and thereby farmers get into all the financial burden. So that can also be referred to as an example. Are you getting the point? So basically a category of suicide can be classified into all these types. May it be the farmer suicide or suicide among the students. Student suicides in India can also be classified into all these four types. Okay, if you want, you can do that exercise, like student suicide in India and how it can be classified into for all these types. Okay, can you do it on your own? Okay, you have understood the idea, right? How to classify the farmer suicides. So similarly, you can do it in case of student suicides also, because in case if UPSC asks an application questions from this topic, you will be able to manage it really well. Okay. All right. Now let's discuss the criticism. See, basically, when it comes to the criticisms of this theory, you need to understand one is Durkheim took the official data, right? And we cannot rely on the official data because it is said that generally Catholics does not, or the suicide is considered as undesirable among the Catholics. As a result, most of the cases of suicide will be reported as natural death. As a result, there is some problem or issue associated with the data that was collected by Durkheim. Right? So it is criticized that validity and reliability of data that Durkheim used for his study of suicide cannot be trusted, or there is no validity and reliability. Okay. Then it is also, yeah. He gave overemphasis on religion, right? He said that suicide rates among the Protestants are higher than Catholics. But it is said that there is also rural-urban divide that is involved there, because mostly the Protestants occupy the urban areas and Catholics occupied the rural areas. So the actual difference between the Protestants and Catholics in the suicide rate is not because of the religion, but because of the geographical distinction between urban and rural. Clear? So that can also be mentioned. Then, yeah, correct. See, there is one theme when it comes to that of criticisms of Durkheim also. In most of the criticisms, you can point out to the loopholes, especially related to the scientific study. Because even though he focused on scientific study, many of his studies also pointed to non-scientific aspects like collective conscience. In case of suicide, he is focusing on integration and regulation, which cannot be studied, or observed, which cannot be studied scientifically. So you can mention about that. Then, correct. You have completely ignored the psychological aspect, because that is also very important when it comes to suicide, right? So, likewise, you can mention the criticisms. Now, let us move on to the final part, which is religion. Okay, clear? So, even in his study of suicide, you can see that there is influence of methodology. You have to understand that social fact, scientific approach, all those stuff is there. Clear? Now, final part is religion. It's quite easy, and this study of religion was actually, Durkheim's study of religion came out towards the end of his, intellectual career. Okay, it was towards the end. Now, towards the end, he gave less emphasis to the collective conscience and gave more emphasis to collective representations. The reason for the same is he was heavily criticized for giving more emphasis on collective conscience, which is something that cannot be studied objectively, which cannot be observed. So what he did was he started giving more importance to collective representation. Now, what is collective representation? Things that reflect the non-material social facts, right? Things that will reflect the collective conscience, things that reflects the solidarity. So all those stuff can be mentioned as collective representations. So all the beliefs, values, norms of the society will be reflected in certain institutions or certain observable material social facts that can be referred to as collective representation. Now that is the reason why in Durkheim's study of religion, you will see that he have given more emphasis on sacred. What is sacred? Sacred is the collective representation. How sacred becomes collective representation? Because whatever is sacred, like say for example, sacred is, or in today's religion, you can see the sacred as like say for example, temples, or whatever religious institution it is, like church, temple, or mosque. Then religious text, right? So there are certain symbols which are considered to be sacred. Now these symbols are observable, right? These symbols as a result can be studied. Now such symbols that actually reflect the nature of religion, the values of religion are considered to be or are referred to as the collective representations. Clear? Right? So what constitutes sacred? Sacred is nothing but it is just a symbolic representation of the values of that religion, right? The norms of that religion. Because when it comes to that of the religious text, okay, it's just a book. Why do we consider that book as sacred? Because there are several other books in this world, but we give the sacred status only to religious texts. Why do we do that? Because that text or that book is a representation of the values, the norms of that particular religion. As a result, it is considered as sacred, and as a result, we can say that sacred are nothing but the collective representation. Now, this is the reason why in Durkheim's religious theory of religion, you can see that emphasis is given on sacred. According to Durkheim, when it comes to the simple definition of religion, according to Durkheim, religion is nothing but beliefs and values that are related to sacred, which are set apart and forbidden. Right? That is the simplest definition given by Durkheim regarding religion. Things which are or beliefs and practices associated with the sacred, which are set apart and forbidden. So there again he is giving emphasis on sacred, that is set apart and forbidden. Clear? Alright. Now let us understand Durkheim's theory of religion. Now before understanding Durkheim's theory of religion, let us first focus on the earlier forms of religion. Okay, what is earlier forms of religion? What does that mean? See, there were theories on religion, like say for example, the theory of animism, theory of naturalism, as well as ghost theory. These were the prominent theories on origin of religion. Now, Durkheim rejected all these theories and he came up with his own theory of religion. So, why did Durkheim reject the pre-existing theories on religion? Okay, who came up with animism? Okay, who came up with that theory? Taylor, right? Now, in Taylor's animism, what does he, what was that concept of animism? Animism, belief in spirit. See, basically, according to Taylor in animism, he mentioned that animism is kind of or tried to explain how religion emerged as a result of fulfilling the intellectual needs of human beings, because individuals were not able to figure out what is happening to a person when they die or what is happening to you when you are sleeping. In order to figure out that intellectual need, human beings came up with the concept of spirit. And we said that spirit is something that leaves our body temporarily when we are sleeping, and it leaves our body permanently when we are dead. Now, once this concept of the spirit was introduced, we started applying it on every other thing around us. We started applying the concept of spirit on the trees, on the mountains, on the hills, on the rocks. And that is how religion started or emerged in the society. It is with the idea of the spirit that the spiritual worship and all those stuff started, and that led to emergence of religion. Second is Max Muller came up with the theory of naturalism, where Muller mentioned that religion emerged because of the emotional needs of human beings. What is the emotional needs? We were afraid of the nature, right? Because of the lightning, thunder, rain, heavy rain, torrential rain. So all these things have created a sense of fear, awe, inspiration, surprise, everything. Like, so we wanted to somehow, we thought that if we worship the nature, nature will be kind towards us. As a result, what we did was we started worshipping nature. And that is why the early forms of religion, in early forms of religion, gods were mostly associated with nature. In early Vedic period also, we can see that the Hindu gods were mostly associated with the natural aspect, Agni, Vayu, Indra, and all those stuff, right? So that is the explanation of origin of religion by Muller. And finally, ghost theory by Herbert Spencer, where he mentioned that when it comes to that of religion, it emerged from fear of ghosts, because people had this particular belief that their ancestors will come to their life again as ghosts, and they will do bad things on them, like they will may hurt them, or it will cause issues for them. So in order to overcome that, they started doing ancestral worship. By doing that, they felt that ancestors will be happy with them and they will not come to disturb them. So that is the origin of ghost theory. Okay, clear? All set? Now, Durkheim said that all these theories are nothing but collective hallucination, because there is no proof, there is nothing, there is no scientific evidence, there is nothing concrete in all these theories. These are nothing but they are trying to explain religion as mass hallucination. So he rejected it. Second, he said that they did not distinguish between sacred and profane, because all these explanation does not distinguish between what is sacred, because for every religion there is a body of sacred. Now they did not distinguish between that. And according to Durkheim, there are several religions without gods, right? But all these pre-existing theories mention of the existence of God. So Durkheim said that, so as a result, it cannot explain the existence of various different kinds of religion, because not every religion have the concept of God. So based on that, Durkheim got his own views on religion. Now, when it comes to Durkheim's views on religion, you need to understand, again, you can learn it as a story, it is very simple. Okay. Durkheim, in his elementary forms of religious life, that was the name of his study, he studied Arunda tribes, which are Australian aborigines. Okay, Australian aborigines means they are Australian tribes. Okay, now among Arunda tribes, the form of religion that they followed is known as totemism. Now we also need to understand why Durkheim chose to study Arunda tribes, because for Durkheim he wanted to understand the origin of religion. For that he wanted to select the purest form of religion, most primitive form of religion. That is why he selected to study Arunda tribes. Now in totemism, Durkheim identified that the totem, okay, among Arunda tribes, it represented the clan, as well as the same totem was also a symbol of worship. Now, Durkheim said that if the same thing represents a society as well as it is a symbol of worship, does it mean that, or isn't it that religion is nothing but worship of society? Clear? That is the basic idea of Durkheim's theory of religion. That is, religion is nothing but worship of society. Now, how did he reach that particular conclusion? By studying totemism, he found that totem, on one hand, it was the symbol that represented the society, that is the clan, as well as it is the symbol of worship. Based on that, he concluded that religion is nothing but worship of society. Now, Durkheim said that why did people, worship using separate symbols rather than worshipping the society directly? According to him, people will not be able to visualize the society while they are worshipping, and it will be far more easier for them to symbolize and visualize a particular symbol to worship that represent the society. That is why it is indirect. We are indirectly worshipping using symbols. Clear? Now, Durkheim said, in order to understand religion, we need to make the key distinction between sacred and profane. Because if you want to understand religion, religion is mostly associated with sacred. So, what is sacred? Sacred are things which are set apart and forbidden. What does set apart and forbidden mean? It means that it is placed above the individuals, and the individuals cannot change or alter the sacred. Okay, that is what it means by sacred is set apart and forbidden. It is placed over and above individuals and it cannot be altered by the individuals. Clear? All set? Now, according to Durkheim, sacred is superimposed, meaning sacred is not based on an item is not considered as sacred based on the inherent qualities of that item, but instead based on how society view that particular item. Society will be considering those items as sacred which are important for the sustenance of society, for the stability and order of society. So all those things which are important for the stability, order and continuity of the society will be considered as part of the sacred. That is why we say that sacred are superimposed, meaning society gives that kind of, or recognizes a particular item as sacred. It's not because of the inherent quality of that item. So as a result, sacred can vary from one society to another. Sacred in one society may be profane in another society. Profane in one society may be sacred for another society. Right? That is why for different religion, the kind of sacred varies. Right? From one society to another, it keeps on changing. Clear? All set? All right. Now, see, basically, you need to understand that according to Durkheim, the body of sacred is important for the religion because it is through the body of sacred that society is, because see, ultimately, what is religion? Worship of society, right? So, it is through the body of sacred that the collective conscience and the hold of collective conscience is spread in the society. For every society having the collective conscience and the members of society subscribing to the collective conscience is important. Now, how do the religion or the society indirectly do that? Through the sacred. Religious texts are considered to be sacred because it is a medium of spreading collective conscience in the society. Right? Religious text gives us an idea. It is a source of moral compass. Right? It is a source of norms and values in the society. Right? So likewise, religion through sacred is able to spread collective conscience that will further increase the solidarity in society. Is it clear? Okay. See, everything that is important for society, say for example marriage, in all different societies marriage is considered to be sacred. Why? Because marriage is important for the continuation of society. It is through marriage, right, the family as an institution is formed, and it is inside the family reproduction takes place, and it is through reproduction that society is able to continue, right? Because without reproduction society will die down. So as a result, each and everything that is important for the society is considered to be sacred. Clear? So that is with the idea of sacred. And what is profane? All other things which are non-sacred are classified as profane. Now, according to Durkheim, the relation between individuals and society is similar to that of the relationship between sacred and profane, because the society is considered to be sacred and individuals are considered to be profane. As a result, society is given more importance than individuals. Right? So why society is given more importance? Because society is considered to be sacred and individuals profane. Clear? Okay. This is with the views of religion when it comes to Durkheim. Now, what are the functions of religion? It helps in reinforcing collective conscience in the society. It acts as a source of social solidarity because by spreading the collective conscience, social solidarity is also achieved. Then it is also primary agency responsible for social control. By placing certain rules, regulations and values through the sacred, society is able to place social control. See, when it comes to that of each and every individual's life, religious texts have a particular role on spreading that particular social control. So that is what I mean by It is a tool of social control. And it also gives us explanation for certain events in our life, right? See, basically, when it comes to human life, there are certain contradictory things that happen, and religion, through religious text, even though without any evidence, they are able to give some kind of explanation that can satisfy the emotional needs. As a result, it also brings stability in the society. Right? There are certain, large number of, contradictory things that may happen in one's life. Now, what does religion do there? Religion gives them some kind of emotional, a kind of what do you say, emotional or explanation that can satisfy them emotionally, right? So, such explanations also help in bringing stability in the society. Now, finally, when it comes to criticism, what are the criticisms? Yeah, one is data. Yeah, what about the data? Yeah, thing is, Durkheim, as a positivist, okay, he did not collect data, or even though he studied Arunda tribes, he did not directly go there. Instead, he studied them from secondary resources. So, C.W. Mills criticized that Durkheim is an armchair sociologist, meaning he did not go into the field to collect data directly. So, that can be mentioned. Second, he did not deal with the dysfunctions of religion. He only mentioned about the positive aspects, because in modern society, religion is also associated with lots of social conflicts, divisiveness, and all sorts of dysfunctional aspects. Then,
Complex religions. Complex religions.
okay, he studied a primitive religion and is applying the conclusion by studying the primitive religion to the modern religions, which is much more complex. As a result, his explanation of religion as worship of society is an overstretched statement, right? It is an overstretched statement, because religion as worship of society cannot be applied in modern society, because in modern society there are pluralistic societies, religious pluralism is there. So we cannot ever say that it is religion is nothing but worship of society. Then, correct. Division of sacred and profane is too extreme. There can be things which are in between sacred and profane, right? Example for that is, yeah, academic books. Yeah, it is not as sacred as religious text, but it is not considered as profane as some movie magazines. Instead, it is also given some level of respect, right? So there can be things that lie in between sacred and profane, which was not dealt with by Durkheim. Then, you know, yeah,
From a Marxian perspective,
yeah.
we can say that it's used by capitalists to
Okay,
provide
from a Marxian perspective, you can say that religion is an ideological conditioning device used by the capitalists to spread false consciousness to extend their exploitation. Yeah, you can mention. No problem with that. All set. So I hope you have got a fair bit of idea regarding Durkheim. Again, as I've mentioned, learn all of these concepts as stories. Just add the key concepts in between. Write these theories in your own words. Don't try to just copy paste the content that you get in your material. Okay, once you understand the story, the interconnection, okay, this is how these are interconnected, this is how we need to connect it. Once you understand the logic, the theme behind the thinker, it becomes much easier. Okay, all right. So thank you so much. Take care. Have fun. Bye bye.